Welcome to Green is Good. We've got Brian MacMahon with us today. He's the Chief Community Officer from Pay It Forward Labs. Well, we're honored to have you here with us today, Brian. Welcome to Green is Good Radio, and we're here at the Green Festival in Los Angeles for a special edition of Green is Good at the Green Festival. Before we get talking about what you do with Pay It Forward Labs, how you started it, talk a little bit about the Brian MacMahon journey leading up to Pay It Forward. How did you even get here?
It's a long story. I've lived in approximately 35 countries over the last 20 years. I'm a commercial broker. And one of the things I found that as a commercial broker is that it's incredibly hard to start your own business. So you know about your own niche. So I knew in my space about workspace, but you don't know about everything else. And this is why there's such a tremendously high failure rate within companies. So that's kind of what took me to Pay It Forward.
What year did you start it?
5 years ago.
And so what exactly is Pay It Forward Labs? And for our listeners out there that want to learn more about Brian's great company, it's payitforwardlabs.com, www.payitforwardlabs.com.
Wonderful, yeah. So when I mentioned that it's incredibly hard to start a business, most of the reason for that is because you lack expertise in those areas. So Pay It Forward Labs is a listing of experts who are incredible at every single aspect of business that you can imagine. So anything to do with marketing, legal, venture capital, social media, technology. Just imagine an aspect of business that you wanted to actually know about, and then you get access to those people. And then the beautiful thing is the community then rate the value of the feedback that they get from those people. So we get to find out something which is incredibly hard to find, not just in California, but just anywhere in the world, which is real experts curated by real people.
So if I have a business concept or a new widget I've developed, I come to payitforwardlabs.com and I can find all the resources I need to start my business and take it from widget to commercial scalable product?
Yeah, I mean, and one of the interesting things is actually starting a business is a journey. So, and it's probably one of the most difficult and frustrating journeys that anybody will ever have. I mean, it's made look wonderful because the only thing we ever see are the winners on television, but 98.4% of all venture capital, of all companies that get funded through venture capital, fail. So what that means is it's almost impossible to be successful in your business at the beginning. So at the beginning, I don't want to give no hope to listeners. There is hope, but there's only hope if you go on the right road very quickly. So, for example, here at the Green Festival, the Green Festival really wanted to make sure not just the exhibitors, but also the people who are coming had a chance of success. Not just that they came here, they exhibited, and they had a good festival, but they had a really good start on their business to continue with the right roads. So they asked us to bring 30 of our best mentors. We brought marketing people, we brought technology people, and I mean, when I say people, I mean at least of the 30 people we brought, at least 20 of those people had sold companies for over $5 to $10 million. So we're talking really high quality people. Those people then gave their time for the entire afternoon, did one-on-one sessions with people, spoke to people, advised them, helped them. And the really nice win-win here is that what we're trying to do is take something which 1,000 years ago or 100 years ago, this was the basis for business. You ask your cousins, your brothers, your friends, everybody else you know, how do you actually start your business and what do you do? And you take that advice. The challenge that we've got to now is that people rely on the 1%. So we rely on that 1% of people to give us mentorship. So we want to take it to a level where the 99% can give mentorship. We all have an expertise in an area. So if we bring that expertise to the online platform and then we let the community rank that expertise based on actually how useful we are in our level of expertise to the community, then the community wins because they get all this great advice for free. And the mentors and the experts, which is everybody, wins because they get to be elevated to a position of not just social recognition, but also potential job recognition in the future and fee recognition when they do get paying jobs. And actually, if I take it a step further, I think that the level of trust as a value proposition to companies when finding people has never been higher because our trust level has never been lower. So to be able to get people who are actually rated that highly because of what the community says it increases everybody's chances of getting more money.
Is this festival your first green festival here in Los Angeles, or have you done others before?
This is our first one, and we're going to take it straight to San Francisco. So like as soon as I did the first afternoon here, and we had our first interaction with the exhibitors, and we had some really great specialists. So we had a guy called Dr. John Oda, who's worked with Tony Robbins in a stack of his stuff, and John's and we also had a lady called Pina de Rosa, and she's got about 300,000 YouTube hits for her TED Talk on mindset effectiveness. We also had, just to give you a feel for what our panel was, we also had the head of the environmental committee in the city of Santa Monica, who are one of the cities who've really implemented their environmental policy much better than other cities. We also had a chap that owns about 5 outsourced call centers who was on stage as well. We also had a guy called Ash Kurma who'd been recognized by the White House 3 times for his entrepreneurship. So we had those 5 people, and I'm sure I've missed somebody, but there was another person as well. So we had those 5 or 6 people up on the stage, and we started off by just advising people, and this was in addition to the mentors that we also had over in the other area too. And we started off by actually speaking to what the journey should look like and actually giving advice and help. But it then turned into something which was really nice, and we started growth hacking their companies. Now, growth hacking is a term that's quite a recent term, but it's like if you imagine marketing going on the road around the mountain, well, growth hacking is just a straight climb up. So you look and you are cruelly hard and direct about the points that you make about people's businesses. So we started taking websites of green companies here in the audience, pulling them up on the screen, and doing a 5-minute round our experts about what needed to be fixed. And here's the news flash with all of this, is that 99% of us, we have something wrong. We either have our website wrong, we have the legal entity that we have in place wrong, we have the technology that our platform is built on wrong, we have our retail shop wrong, we have our brand which isn't quite aligned with the other things. So all of these areas, I just think if you can build a trusted social network, that maybe this can be a network for good rather than the most of what comes out in technology these days.
If for our listeners who just joined us, we are so excited to have with us today Brian MacMahon. He is the Chief Community Officer of Pay It Forward Labs. It's www.payitforwardlabs.com. Brian, talk a little bit about the giving wall. What is the giving wall?
So it's kind of interesting. And I just want to say, Pay It Forward for Labs for us, we never know what will happen in the future, but it's a non-profit. Okay. So we came into this business, we don't make money from it, we don't charge fees for it, nobody pays a membership to go into it. I make my money from the commercial brokerage that we've had for years and years and years. But where the really interesting journey happened for me was when I started off my brokerage, I thought, what if we could create a concept whereby you get a better return on investment for giving than you would normally get if you started a business. So for example, when somebody starts a business, normally they do marketing, they pay for pay-per-click, they pay for Google AdWords and Facebook Words and all these other faceless things which have nothing to do with value-based propositions. And I thought, what if we could build a community and try and do it? And that's where Pay It Forward came from. And then right in some of the initial events, I thought, well, what do I have that's of value to the community that I can do? And I thought, well, let's workspace. I have thousands of workspace providers or people who have office spaces in those areas where they'll give me those spaces for free. So we started to create physical events. And the physical events just really had 2 rules behind them. We said, look, it's the same Pay It Forward concept as we have within the online platform. I was already friends with the people from the actual Pay It Forward Foundation, the organization themselves, who do a wonderful job. We have the producer of the original Pay It Forward movie, who's part of our movement as well. And we thought, well, why don't we just create these really great events in these local areas, and why don't we bring people in for free? We don't charge anything. And what really surprised me, and especially in somewhere like Santa Monica, where you wouldn't imagine it's the most giving place because there's a lot of pressure on success. Yeah. And I thought, well, I wonder how big the events would become. And we suddenly had 500, 600, 800 people coming out on a Monday night, all coming together. And we would say there's only 2 rules really behind you coming. The first rule is you can't pitch. Nobody wants to hear your pitch. Nobody cares about your pitch. You're just going to bore people and put it into the usual networking scenario. You have to come and ask, what is it that I can do for you? What is it that you need? And then the second rule is you actually have to mean the question. So you have to actually care about what you can change within that person's business. Because if you do that, and then you multiply it by 400 or 500 people, you then have something powerful. Like, you then have something which is real change. So the giving wall kind of came almost organically from that. So some people say, well, look, we can't meet 500 people. Can I just write up on the wall something I'm going to give away for free? And actually, I think it was the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce that did the first one. And they said, look, we want to just give a membership to one person for free for a year, which is, I mean, it's a $500 value. It's a good value thing to give away. But their angle was, look, if we give away a membership to one person, maybe other people will be interested. And we don't need to give it away to those people. Maybe we'll give them a discount, but we'll get prospects. So we'll get prospects by giving. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's actually all right by doing it that way, because they're giving to one person and they can choose the person they gave to. And then so we put a post-it up in the wall, a big orange post-it. So imagine what the normal post-it pads look like, and then multiply by 3 or 4 for the big old Staples ones. And we put an envelope underneath it, and we said, well, anybody who's interested in this, just put your card in. And then they had to come back for another envelope about 10 minutes later. So then more people put it up, and more and more and more. And next thing we had, I think, 400 to 500 post-its, people offering jobs and services. And just the only rule was everything is free. So you don't need to give a whole product away, but maybe you just give a taste of it away, a test drive of it away. Maybe you give a 2 hours of social media training for free. Right. And if you do an amazing job, then people will want more. Right. But then you give it for free. So yeah, it's kind of a freak in nature. It's beautiful to watch. Our demographic at the events are everybody from 20-year-olds to 6-year-olds. It's 50-50 men, women. It's really, and if anybody knows Santa Monica, that's not the Santa Monica way. Like Santa Monica, I don't know if I can say it, but sometimes it feels like Children of the Corn. You know, after I'm 22, I get led, and that's just the technology area. So we wanted to change. We wanted to change that and have it so that we actually had totally inclusive with every area of business.
So Brian, during the day, just so I understand this and our listeners understand this, you're a commercial real estate broker.
Yeah.
But this is something you've done as a mission.
I actually, if I worked for me, I would fire myself. I have done so little on commercial real estate. But what happens in commercial real estate is I've got great people in the brokerage, who do a lot of that work for me now. Right. I think, you know, in life you have to be driven by, if you're not driven by a passion or something which is having effect, and you know, sometimes it's positive effects, sometimes it doesn't work out as positively as you think, but you need to at least have the aim of doing something that you can get to wherever you get to and say, okay, I did okay. You know, I did something which was of value. So you need to get money, but that the commercial brokerage does okay. And so for me, this area here, this whole Pay It Forward has a much deeper meaning. It has a meaning of, you know, just great evangelists out there like Marianne Williamson and Tom Shoes and all of those people, what they try and do, which is to prove that actually by doing good, it's not just a better way to live or a more sustainable way, it's actually a more profitable way to work.
Yeah, I agree, and I think our listeners agree also. With Pay It Forward Labs, we have listeners all around the United States and all around the world. Brian, what cities today are you in, and where do you intend to take this?
We started off in Los Angeles, which we still are. Mm-hmm. We're going into San Francisco at the end of this month. Right. I mean, because we're an online platform, the wonderful thing here is I want to get it to a place where if you want to get technology advice, I mean, literally, you've got people in Poland and Russia and everywhere else. I mean, the great thing about technology, we kind of got to this on the panel yesterday over at the Green Festival, is that really 70% of businesses that are out there today are or can be green businesses very easily. I mean, a technology business that changes the way workspace is done is a green business because we've reduced the platform that we're on. So from our perspective, there's no real limit to what we can do and the amount of people that we can have in this platform. And it's just down to people to register their expertise, put themselves up on the platform and just be seen. And then we'll make sure that stuff that's related to them will be pushed directly in their place. But no, we want to have it global. We want to have it available. We want to have it that it's never, ever, a charged product, not for the normal, nor premium, nor anything else, and that is something that people can use as a real part of their business plan for the future.
So for our listeners out there that are real excited right now about Pay It Forward Labs, how do they get involved? Is it easy as just going to the website, www.payitforwardlabs.com, and signing up right now?
Well, there's two areas which are always really useful. So the first thing is, yes, just go onto the site, register yourself, put yourself up there as an expert, and then you'll be there. And we'll make sure that as we continue to improve it and upgrade it and make it better, then we'll always do that for you, and we welcome feedback. And then the second area is, I always have felt with online that as powerful as it is, without having a really strong offline element, it's really difficult. We need physical interaction. So I really wanted to make sure that these events that we have down here in Santa Monica, that we have every city to have these types of events, where it was, just to digress for a second, it was funny with the giving wall, because after about 5 of our events, we said, look, this is great. We're going to get rid of all the post-it notes because we have this great giving wall and it's going to be more sustainable and more environmentally friendly, and we're going to put it all online. Isn't it fantastic? And we had a revolt, because people love their coloured sticky notes and they love to have a thing. So I think we crave to be close to other people once we've got into the comfort level that those people are not going to harm us. And by creating an environment where it's a soft landing as a business, where you can go to and not feel intimidated, it's really good. So it's really important to me that every city that we have this anyway strong in, that there's a local community leader, that local community leader realizes that these are not paid for events, these are not profit events, right. These are events for the local community, by the local community, and that they would go then alongside the online platform as well.
Brian, for our business owners out there that are thinking about exhibiting at the Green Festivals, what words of wisdom could you have for them in terms of interacting with and getting visibility at the Green Festivals?
And I would have 2 answers. I would say to everybody out there, they should come to the Green Festival. I mean, I brought my 8-year-old boy today, and it's beautiful just to see the minds at that early age start to be molded. Once we get to my age, we're lost already, right? It's hard for us to adapt and to change, and even if we like something, it's an entire re-education. But by having your kids there, I think we almost have a social responsibility to bring our young ones there and have those people realize the impact on the planet from doing stuff which is just stupid and which can be changed really easy. So that's just on a basic human level. For the price of entry, which is virtually nothing, there's every single possible aspect of green business you could imagine. I think it's great for the family and for the kids. And from a business perspective, green is changing the world. I mean, we look at the stocks, which are in energy stocks. They've doubled over the last couple of years. We look at the entire change that we have within cars. Tesla are like the golden child for everybody in the car industry right now. I mean, this is not a fluffy thing that's just on the periphery of business. This is the future of business, not just here, but all over the world. And I think if anybody's serious about doing business in their own sector, they need to be at the event. They need to look at the businesses that are at the event. They need to look at their competitive advantage, and they need to look at it from 2 perspectives. Number 1, how can I improve my business without destroying my business? How can I improve it without spending a lot of money to actually make it greener? And a lot of those things are actually really simple things to do. And the second thing is, which ones of my competitors are actually making a bigger noise in the green area than I am and actually getting more customers from it? But the summary is, come. Why not?
Come one, come all, come as business, and also come as a family.
Yeah, totally.
That's great, Brian. Brian, we thank you for your time today. We thank you also for being such a visionary to create Pay It Forward Labs. And for our listeners out there, go to payitforwardlabs.com. Brian MacMahon, you are truly living proof that green is good.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure being here.